Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Final Fantasy VII Remake board game Materia Hunter. This was sent to me by Square Enix and is designed by Yoshihiko Uto. A board game where you create your party among 20 iconic characters from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Make use of the unique abilities of characters in your party to collect the most materia and claim victory. Let me show you how to play. So in Final Fantasy VII Materia Hunter, you are trying to claim the most materia tiles at the end of the game. Whoever has the most materia of the matching color in their field claims the materia's tile. There's a whole flow chart of, oh, it's pre-intermission, intermission. This is an idiotic way of just saying, you do 3 turns, there's a thing, 3 turns, there's a thing. The post-intermission, this is insane to me. Anyway, here's basically how a turn goes. On your turn, you draw a card from the display or from the top of the deck. You can either draw one of these or blind. And you draw it into your hand. Then you have character cards. At the beginning of the game, you draft them, and so you have 4 of them. I have these 4 here. You're gonna choose one of your character cards and activate it by turning it face up. So again, let's just do Cloud Strife, okay? So then I reveal Cloud Strife. Then I can do a normal action, a special action, or pass and resolve the effect. So let's go over what these actions are. Your normal action is you play 2 materia cards from your hand face up on your side. So I could go, okay, I'll play a green 2 here and a red 3 here. Now, if you played a materia card that matches the color of the bonus materia on the character card you revealed, you can take a bonus action. So what Clouds is, you can flip one of your opponent's materia cards face down. Well, right now my opponent doesn't have any, but let's pretend they did. Let's say they had this yellow 2 over here. And so I could be like, all right, my bonus action is I flip it over, and now it doesn't do anything. Now, even if I played 2 red materia cards, I can only do this bonus action once. Now, instead of a normal action where I play 2 materia cards, I can play a special action. So, if you have a character card like this, the special action here requires a combination of 6 red and or green cards on your field. Right now, I don't have that, but let's pretend I did. Let's say I had these 3 and this and that. Sure. Let's say I had that. Now, this hexagon here is the cost of cards to flip over to activate it. So, okay, I'll say I'll flip these 3 over. What Cloud's action, special action does, and there's a whole chart for these symbols, is he can place 3 cards from the deck to your field face up. So this is just blindly drawn. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's gonna be a blue, a yellow, and a purple. The second part is he gets to draw 3 cards. And then he can play 3 cards from his hand to the field, face up. So I can go, okay, I'll do red, purple, green. And I'll actually put these so it's easier to see. All right, so that is what a special action looks like. If you have the appropriate cost, you can do it. There are different types. So for example, Barrett here, he needs to just have 9 cards or more on your side. It's 0 cost, and he can just play 7 cards from his hand. There's also one that is lower than, so like President Shinra here. If you have 4 or less cards on your side of the field, then you can flip one, and he can play 2 from his hand, and he can flip. This is actually your opponent's, just similar to Clouds. Flip 2 of your opponent's cards face down. Now, the other option besides doing a normal action or a special action is you can pass. So if you just don't want to play an action, you draw 2 cards from the display or deck in any combination and add them to your hand. So I can be like, all right, I'm gonna grab these 2 purples into my hand. Now the last part of the turn, so it was draw, activate a character, do an action or pass, and then what's called a materia action. So each of the 5 materia tokens has a different effect. So, if you added a single materia card into your field during your action, you execute the materia effect of the matching color. If you add multiple different colors of single cards to your field during your turn, you can only choose one of them to execute. So, we'll just go through them. The blue materia action is flip a face down card from your field face up. So if I played, let's say, a single blue card on my turn, I could activate it at the end of my turn to flip the card over. Yellow is draw a card from the display or deck and add it to your hand. Simple enough. This one is take a metal token from the stock. I will explain metal tokens in a second, but these are pretty useful. Purple, choose one card from your field and flip it face down. Then place the top card of the deck into your field face up. So I could, pick this red, and then I play a card from the deck. Oh, that was a good investment, or gamble, I should say. And then the red one, choose one card from your opponent's field in the red row, or a row adjacent to the red row, and flip it face down. Now, if it's on the end like this, you can only choose between these two. So let's say my opponent had this on their side, and I activated the red ability. I could then flip this face down. Now, metal tokens, which I mentioned, there are 2 uses for these. One of the uses for these is you can use these to decrease the requirement number by 1 per metal you pay. So, you know how I showed you Cloud's ability, how it has a cost of 3 cards to flip over? Each of these metal tokens you spend can reduce that cost by 1. And then I showed you a bunch of different icons, but let me show you just some other characters with different icons that I didn't show. So somebody like Andrea Rodea, this symbol means place the designated number of cards from the display to your field face up, so you can actually choose them. And this is just get a metal token. Jesse can do a bunch of stuff. Looks like, play from the deck, draw a card, play from your hand. This one is flip one of your cards face up on your side of the field. And then someone like Sonon Kusakabe, draw 5 cards, play 2 cards from your hand, and then you have to discard 2 cards. Once both players have done 3 turns, meaning, the whole turn flow or whatever, and let's make this a little more interesting so it's not all on one side. After 3 turns, let's pretend the board looked like this. Then, you choose the materia tiles that have tokens on them, these 3 start with them, and you add your total values and compare them. Whoever has the higher sum gets the metal token. So 1 versus 0, this side gets it. 2 versus 4, this one gets it. This is a tie, then this token is just thrown away. Once you've done what's called the intermission, where you do that judgment part, then you go to post-intermission, where all the cards in the display are discarded and refreshed. And then all your character cards are flipped back face down. Because during the turns, you should have flipped 3 of them up to activate them. All the cards, the materia cards on the field, stay as they were. And then you go into post-intermission, which is you both do 3 turns again. At the very end of the game, there's something called a showdown. So, what it is for these metal tokens, if you didn't use them for reducing costs during the game, you can spend them to place 1 card from your hand into the field at the very end of the game. So if I had like 2 of these left, I could be like, aha, I'm gonna play bam, bam, 2 more cards at the very end. And then you compare the materia values of each player. And then it's just a very simple, add up your materia totals, and whoever has more wins that color. And if there's ever a tie for it, like let's say green was tied, then nobody gets this token. And so if there ends up being a tie, like let's say both, like this side won purple and yellow, and the other side won blue and red. Then you compare your highest valued row with that of the opponent's highest valued row. So this side looks like their highest is 8, this highest side is 9. So that means this player would win. And then there's a bunch of other tiebreakers as well. And that's pretty much the game. You know, reveal character cards, do regular actions, special actions, just trying to place cards on the field, flip your opponents, flip yours, yeah, and compete for supremacy over the 5 colors.
So this was
okay. It's one of those one-on-one fight over, different areas games like Battle Line or Lost Cities. And, at its core, those types of games are just fun because you're just competing over stuff. I do think this game has way too many icons that are a little too similar, and when you see like 5 of them in a row on one of the special actions, it's like deciphering a damn code. The materia powers are also like a little fiddly. Like the purple one really bothers me because the icon on it normally means place a card from the deck to the field face up. But it actually means, for this particular instance, choose a card from your field, flip it face down, then place a card from the deck to the field. There's just no way of knowing that by looking at the icon. Just little things like that are very irritating to me. It also thematically, like gameplay-wise, does not feel like Final Fantasy VII at all. This could be replaced with any other characters and themes, and it would be exactly the same. That is something that bugs me about it. If I'm gonna buy a Final Fantasy VII game, I want it to feel at least a little like Final Fantasy VII. Just a little bit. Even if it were just, in the way the character's abilities worked. But no, not really. There's also a little too much luck for my taste. Like if you just happen to draw materia cards with only one materia on them, not a whole lot you can do. It really feels like you don't have enough turns in this game to truly pull off interesting moves, because you only have 6 turns. And some of the special actions require, like, you need 9 cards on the field. And you can only really afford them near the end of the game. And I also think the special actions are not balanced at all. Like, some of them are way cheaper and way better, whereas some of them are expensive. They're like, the requirements are ridiculous. You have to pay stuff, and some of them are just like, draw from the deck randomly, while others are like, draw 3, play 3. I'm sorry, that's way better. Doesn't make sense. So overall, this is okay. Honestly, if this game wasn't Final Fantasy VII themed, it'd be a complete pass for me, because there are already games like this out there that are much better and way less fiddly. If you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, I guess this game has appeal, if you just want to see the characters' pictures on the cards, but the theme is just tacked on. So if you're not a Final Fantasy VII fan, I don't think this game stands on its own at all. It's not worth getting. If you are a fan, it's okay, but it doesn't really feel like a Final Fantasy VII game to me.